Hey everyone, my name is Lizzie. If you're new here, I don't make a lot of videos, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss them. But I'm also never going to spam you, so just subscribe. Today we're talking about used books because I really feel like people are gravitating towards thrifting and buying used just to reduce, reuse, recycle, be more eco friendly. But I love used books just for the extra magic that they have. Like, if I could choose a new book or a used book, I'm probably 99% of the time going to choose a used one. So, that's what we're talking about today. The thing that kind of just sparked this in me right now was last weekend I went to my little cabin up in the woods, and there's a library up there in this tiny, tiny town. And this library always has a book sale. Just certain weekends, there's a tent outside with a bunch of milk crates, and you just get to rifle through all these books. There's cookbooks, there's fitness, there's books that are like 100 years old and the pages are crispy and breaking and brown. And then there's new books, and there's soft covers, and there's hardcovers. I just love whenever I go up there and I get the little surprise of that paper sign outside the library saying books for sale, stop by, and I just right off the highway into the parking lot. And so I did that last weekend, and I picked up this book. So this book is by Joy Williams, and it is called Ill Nature. So I studied environmental science. I guess maybe I can say I'm an environmental scientist or an aspiring environmental scientist, but I just read Prodigal Summer, which if you actually do recurringly watch my videos, I'm sorry for mentioning this book so many times. I thought it was going to be my favorite book. It's not. I'll probably just make a video about it just to get it out of my system. It's not. Okay, it's not. But Barbara Kingsolver, she's like an eco author. That's what I always tell people, like ecologically accurate settings and themes just with a good novel interlaced in that. So like this, I was like, I gotta read more nature. I gotta read more outside stuff because that's what I'm trying to do with my life. So I picked up this book. I'll show you the soft cover. Let me put the soft cover on. Or not, they're called dust jackets. Anybody else hate dust jackets? Please comment because they're the bane of my existence. I hate dust jackets. Guys, if this doesn't prove my reduce, reuse, recycle, these are my shorts from 5th grade that I wear 5 nights a week in the summer. Okay, it's a lifestyle. First I saw nature. I don't know if you could see that. Nature. That obviously draws me in. And then I saw a little fish. And one thing about me, fish are my favorite animal. I have a fish right there who's about to die. I'd probably give him like 3 more days. I've had him for a few years, so he had a good run. But these fish look like they're in an oil spill. So I was like, this is going to be a really good eco book, like eco conscious, whatever. And I'm not one to read the blurbs. I'm not one to glance through the pages. I just kind of judge a book by its cover. I also usually just pick by author, or like if I heard something about the author, if I heard the title. That's kind of how I approach my books at this point in my life. I just want to read the things that I've heard people mention, you know? So, on that note, I also saw this big book, which this is a big book for me. Stunning cover. Sorry, I have to get like a good grip on these. Look at this beautiful landscape. Anyway, Annie Dillard, and I've heard a lot about Annie Dillard, so I love just grabbing like multiple books from the same author. So I pick up The Living, a novel by Annie Dillard, author of Pilgrim at Tinker Creek, and I'm like, oh, in the bag I just packed for this trip to the lake, I have The Pilgrim at Tinker Creek from Annie Dillard because my friend recommended, I've had multiple friends recommend this to me. I know Annie Dillard is like a really cool eco author. And I found this one in those little library boxes that bring so much joy to the world. And I know you're supposed to swap one in and out. I'm not going to lie. I just took this out and I didn't replace anything in it. So maybe I'll just put it back when I'm done. I don't know. But I am beyond excited to read this. Like, I'm a few pages in, but these are the books, guys, that make me love used books. Starting off strong with Ill Nature. This is obviously weathered. It's brown. It's yellow. Hint, hint, hint. It's a little yellowed. So I take it home. I pay 50 cents. And inside the pages are good. Like, this to me is like a few days. This is going to take me a few days to read. It's not packed. It's pretty big font. And it smells like smoke. When I tell you it smells like smoke. Like, the person is like this in your face as you open this. And I love the smell of books, right? That is one of the points of happiness as a reader. Oh my gosh, guys. And it's so funny because my sister and I were just talking about smoking the other day, because I always really want to smoke. Like, I want to smoke, I want to vape, but I don't, because I know scientifically that's bad for you. She doesn't want to. She doesn't have the urge to, but she loves the smell of smoke, which I'm like disgusted by the smell of smoke. So it's funny because the point for me is like, ew, I hate the smell. I hate the health impact. So I don't want to smoke. And it kind of like turns me off whenever I actually see someone smoking or smell it. Meanwhile, she's like, oh, I love this smell. So I showed this to her and I was like, girl, eat this up. And she was sniffing it and she was like, this is amazing. This is disgusting to me. I hate this smell. And I just had a dream the other night. When I tell you I want to smoke, I have dreams about me just ripping through packs of cigarettes. And I swear, like, I wake up and I can taste it in my mouth. But anyway, I thought it was kind of funny because rants and reflections on humanity and other animals. So this is like in a smoker's house. Smokers are notoriously litterers. Smoke a cig, drop it down, and they start wildfires. They start forest fires. They just, like, they litter. It's literally just littering. Those things dissolve eventually, but the filters never really do. One time my mom thought she caught me smoking because I had a filter in my pocket because I picked up the trash. Because I'm a good human and I pick up your filthy trash. So I put a cigarette in my pocket, which I know is not the brilliant idea, but I did. And she like was doing my laundry and she found it. She's like, I found this in your pocket. She came in my room, right here, peeking in the door. Put it on my desk. I found this. And I was like, what? Okay, like, throw it out. She's like, I found it in your laundry. And your laundry smelled like smoke. And I was like, She's like, it didn't smell like smoke. And I was like, okay, it didn't smell like smoke. And I said, okay, I probably just picked it up off the street or like because I clean houses, I probably like just picked it up, tossed it in my pocket. I do that sometimes. And she was like, okay. And she left it. She's like, I'll leave it here. I was like, no, throw it out. So she didn't throw it out. She left it there, so I threw it out. I don't know what she thought. I don't think she even thought I did smoke. I feel like she believed me. But I guess maybe for dramatic impact, she left it there. Anyway, they litter. Funny for you to be reading this book about ecological destruction, particularly rants about it, because I feel like that's just a big juxtaposition to have like someone ripping a cigarette and just like littering the butt, and then reading about how people, I'm assuming, probably pollute and how our ecosystems degrade. So I thought that was great. Also, animal rights, guys, they test cigarettes on dogs and stuff. It's disgusting if you look into it. Anyway, progressing into Pilgrim at Tinker Creek, look at the mold growing on this. Can you see that? Love a little moldy book. One of my Harry Potter books is moldy as well. We'll get into that because all my Harry Potter books I've bought at cool places and with cool stories. So it's like, not only do you get a little bit about the previous person in your book when you read it, you also get like a new memory and a new story. It's not just like a meaningless purchase when you buy a used book. So I found this Annie Dillard book at that little library in the park, picked it up, made me so happy. I had to walk like 2 miles just holding a book. I feel like people thought I was a little weird, but I did it anyway. Underlined in this book is one line, literally just one line. Can you see it up there? The heaven and the earth and all in between, thinkest thou I made it in jest? It's a good question. That's what's underlined, and that's a quote from the Quran. And it just made me think immediately as I was just paging through this book in the library or in the park, because I always say like my life's a joke, life's a game, life's a joke. And people kind of have that attitude. And I've read it in other stories. I've talked to people. I know it's a thing. We all feel like we're just here to get made fun of, or like God is just kind of moving us around like little pawns. And it's like we're just at his whim, like his humor. We're just here for whatever he wants to do to us. And I kind of think that attitude is okay because it's a little bit self-protective in the sense that I don't ever have like a woe is me attitude, because I realize there's things bigger than me, like orchestrated in the universe, and I'm just like a little animal in a literal galaxy of creatures. And it's like, who am I? Like, my life is just silly, my silly little life. And just to hear that, like, do you think I made it as a joke? Like, do you really think your life is a joke? And then as I just began to read this first chapter, she's going into the intricacy of the science and the nature and the biology behind all of these little animals that she's looking at, the plants, the river system. And it's just beautiful to see someone have that mindset of like, you're not purposeless, you're not a joke, this isn't just craziness. Like, let's break it down and see how purposeful, how interconnected and essential every little piece of this ecosystem that you and me are a part of actually is. I love that it has like little lines on the cover already. I love that it's moldy. It smells good. It smells fine. It smells like a grandma's attic. So some other reasons I love getting used books is like you just get a good deal. You spend a few cents on a book instead of, how much did this? $9? No, I got this for a few cents. And then there's other books that are ripped up and shredded and folded and wrinkly, and you just know that someone spent a good portion of their time holding the same book as you, reading it, probably going through some of the same thought processes as you, underlining things. Underlines and highlights, any annotations are like a literal hidden treasure in a book. I would love to do a book club where we each read the same book and underline and annotate, but then we pass it along. So it would take like a few months for all of us to read it, but by the end we'd have this book stacked with annotations, pencil lines, every little thing, like even dog ear it. I don't care. There's something about reading someone else's note, like understanding their sentiment, their emotion as they went through the same story that you're going through. It is so cool, and every time I find that, I am like so excited by it. So that's the one reason that I really like try to keep annotating my books when I really want to, because I just think, what if I pass this along someday and someone else has the same idea? Let me show you my Lord of the Rings copy. I don't think I'll be getting rid of this copy of the Lord of the Rings, right? But she's pretty stacked. I'm reading through it again. It's my second time reading this. So blue was the first time, purple's the second, green is just the map. That's just where the map is, and I want to refer to the map a lot. I don't know. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't, but something about it is pretty magical, and I would love to convince someone. I think people are scared to read The Lord of the Rings, right? And if I go, look, here's my copy, every single one of these like 30 tabs is going to be so interesting to them. They're going to want to get to it like a little benchmark. So that's my little hack to convince my friends to read this later on. Some used books you just get for free, so you got nothing to lose. My school had this shelf, and I felt like no one really knew about it or used it. Like, obviously somebody knew because there was always new books there, but every once in a while I'd pick up a used book. There was used textbooks, so I have textbooks on subjects that I didn't really take because I just want to have them and read them and know. But other things like this on a whim. Okay, that book is gone now. Where you're like, I have nothing to lose. Like, let me just read this book. There's no input to get into. Like, there's zero barrier to entry with a free book. That's what I mean. There's nothing to lose. You just pick it up, might start it, might not finish it, just see what happens. And it could be like the best experience of your life. Into the Harry Potter books. Harry Potter obviously is like the ultimate classic book series ever, like better than probably any other thing. And I read Harry Potter with my friend doing a podcast, so it's already super special. But I didn't own the whole series at once, which I know is like a little strange. I borrowed the first book of Harry Potter from my best friend. I put in all the little annotations and I said, I'm going to keep this until I can buy my own copy and transfer all the annotations in, like all the little tabs, into the new copy that I own. So she was like, fine, keep it. I kept them for a long time. So, second book. What is the second book? The Chamber of Secrets. I got from my other friends and I said, hey, do you have this book? Because they have like a whole library in their basement. And I was like, can I borrow it, please? So they gave it to me. At this time, I had just gotten a new puppy. And this new puppy, I left alone in my house with my friend's copy of The Lord of the Rings. And these people at this time, I didn't know too well. Like, I knew them, we're friends, but it wasn't like super buddy, like I trust you with my life type of thing where we are now. And so I took this book, I left it in the living room with my little puppy. I came home and the cover of this book was shredded all across my floor into a million little pieces. And I was like, oh my gosh, my dog ate these people's book. So one thing about the book they gave me is that the first chapter, there's some underlines, there's some highlights, which we've discussed at this point, and they bought it from somebody else or something. And I didn't know if it was theirs. I didn't know if they were going to notice, because I was like, I can't just get a new copy. If I give them a new book, they're going to notice. What if they needed that underline? I don't know. Like, she's a teacher. Maybe she like does something with that first chapter. And I was freaking out. So I go all through my living room. I'm picking up the pieces. As you can tell, I did not find all the pieces. The front of this is entirely taped together. It's taped like to the inside of the book. And so I bought a new copy, but I just traded the dust jacket. I just gave them the dust jacket. So I actually have a new book in this shredded dust jacket because I didn't know if they needed that little book. And that's my story with the second one. So even though like that's a new book, I got a weird story about it. Then I believe the fifth through the eighth book I got at the thrift store for like $6. So now I'm still missing the first and the third, right? My cousin calls me like years later. Like, I've read this book, I'm done. He calls me, he's like, hey, there's this antique store, have you been? I'm like, yes, I've been there, I love it. We go because he wants to check out the story, and I already love the shop. You walk in, the lady will talk your ear off. The store is big. It's not crazy big, but you will spend an equal amount of time just chatting with this woman right inside the door, like one step in. So we go explore this antique shop. I've done it like multiple times with my friends. It's just like a cool place to be. And I see this little bookshelf in the corner that I never noticed before. So I walk over. I'm like, okay, I need Harry Potter because I just don't like buying new books. And I want to have a fun story. So I need the first one. I need the third one. And in that little bookshelf, I see the third Harry Potter. And I grab it, and the lady was like, I've never read this before, so we start chatting about it. And I didn't tell her that I did the whole podcast about it just because my cousin was with me, and I didn't want to, like, talk about that in front of him for some reason. But she goes, let me see. And I was like, how much is the book? Well, she's like, let me see. Because if it's signed, then it's going to be more. And I was like, oh, am I about to get a signed copy? But it's not. So it was really cheap because it wasn't signed. But I have that whole fun memory of being with my cousin, chatting with this lady, being in this cool place with that used book. And then my brother gifted me the first one. So now, after like years, I've compiled a full set of Harry Potter, each with their own little special story attached. And I just love that so much. Well, no, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I hope that someone agrees with me. That's literally it. because I genuinely feel like I have happiness just like remembering where these books came from, remembering the story behind them, knowing that I'm adding to the story, that when I pass it down, when I redonate my book, when I give it to someone else, that they're going to have that story too. So it's for the smell, whether it's cigarettes or the old book smell. It's for the underlines, whether they're good or bad or goofy, or absolutely destroyed the book and they're dog-eared and they're ripped. Or it's just for the good deal. It's for the freebies. It's for the 5-cent books that should cost $9. There's so many reasons that I love used books. And that's it. I'm so bad at goodbyes. Like, I never know how to leave these videos. I love an Irish goodbye, as they say, just like dip.